07 episode. Tak boleh. Nanti. Blablabla. Welcome back to BIMAGE Cafe. Alright, so how are you guys? Alright, so from the summer is the same me. I am same person over here. Yes, Shafiq as your host again, right, for BIMAGE Cafe. So for this version, what I can share to you is a 7th episode. It's a 7th episode. It's the share good, right? It's a 7th episode for us that we will be releasing in this month, April. On April, right? So this video will be released on April, which is we shoot on this month also. Okay, so wait for it. And then for this episode, what I can share to you, what we'll be talk about, what we'll be share about, what will be so we'll be covering on the some kind of architecture environment in Malaysia. Also, we can get to know them, like how they face all the challenges within the technologies, like evolving like every single day in the construction industry. And also, you get to know that every single day technology always evolving in Malaysia. So, including now AI and BIM, not so that every single architecture practice also may be facing several challenges, or maybe not. We get to know, right? So, I have a seat over here and also in a mic, right? So guess who? What? We have some kind of very special guest from here. Guess who? I will give you a little bit of hints, right? He's a he. He's a he. It's not a she. He's a he. Still a he. I still haven't found a she. He's a he, right? He's someone you may know who. He's one of the council in Persatuan Architect Malaysia, PAM, right? You may know who, but I don't know who, right? So, present to you. Ta-da! Alright, so he is, right? Very popular guy. I go through all of my social media. I see your face everywhere. Okay, so first thing first, before we start to get into the topic or something else, right? I just want to ask you this. Always I ask to everyone. Who are you, sir?
Right. Thank you, Shafiq, for having me today. My name is Architect Kawarizmi bin Hisham.
Architect.
I am a principal of Kawarizmi Architect, director of Practical Architects in Berhad, and as Shafiq mentioned, council member of Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia, PAM. This year, special, we are with a team of 3. I'm one of the curators for Kuala Lumpur Architecture Festival. Club 2025. So hopefully to see everyone there in our events, of course.
It's quite excited for me, It's quite the big guy over here now. It's our guest. Whoa. I can't imagine on how excited to meet you actually.
Likewise. Usually only during event. Now we have the opportunity to actually sit down and talk.
Yes, and touch your face like physically. Normally, like I just scrolling my phone, and then double tapping on your face, and then I scroll, and come out with a like button or a love button symbol, right? Now, like in front of me, guys, right? You get a chance?
No, off screen.
Oh, it's my chance today, okay? So Mr. How can I pronounce you, Mr. Kawa?
Kawa should be fine.
Kawa. Kawa only.
Yeah.
Mr. Kawa lah.
Okay, sure, no problem.
Kawa. How can you share to us, right? Because you are one of the well-known. For me myself, I just assume that you are well-known architect also in Persatuan Architect Malaysia and on our industry. So can you share a bit? How can you be involved with architecture? What indicates you start to I want to be an architect?
Okay, so a little bit of background. My parent, my mom is a real estate, officer in Jabatan Penilaian Hartanah, which is a subsidiary of Ministry of Finance, MOF. So even though she's not directly doing architecture, but there's a lot of architecture related involved. So when I was small, I will always follow her for site visit. Usually we will do sort of a simple as-built drawing in order to quantify the amount of lease or rent rate for government building. So for example, a school canteen. So we're gonna measure the square footage and then, you know, give an estimate rent on behalf of the government.
So you've been doing sales since
Kind of like helping her using the measurement tape and whatnot. So that's one. My father is a quantity surveyor.
Oh.
So he's also
okay.
actively in the built environment. Of course, I have another two, uncles that work as quantity surveyors. So basically, there's a bunch of quantity surveyors in my family. It's like 12 or 13, including the cousins and the uncles. We have 3 or 4 companies, quantity surveying.
You're the only one different.
Tak ada siapa. No one is an architect yet. So, not saying that that's my pursuit, but the honest experience is when I look at a construction site along the river bank nearby in Singapore. So I saw the construction vehicles, especially, is yellow, is bright, and they are working in a orchestra to build something that is very refined, which is architecture, from a very crude tools. Like, you know, you can see all the machinery are very crude, very it's an opposite of what a refined architecture, the final product look like. So that's what I like, the interconnectivity between starting from the soil, the ground, the concrete pouring, and then slowly it's refined to the point where you can touch the laminates, the brass finish.
So that you love to see the progress.
Yeah, so that's when it is actually, which is around 7 years old, I believe. Yeah.
So I just wondering when you go to the Singapore, you just mentioned just now.
Yeah.
Is it like you're going just for the visit?
Okay.
Or like
So
a school trip, something you follow your mother?
The story is, it's a family holiday. There is a nearby food court or Medan Selera, whatever you want to call it. I was distracted, and I actually, while the parents was eating, I was just wandering around, looking out the site, because the site is on the other side of the river bank, so there's no actual hoarding, so you can see because the elevation difference, the river bank is slightly lower. So they panic because suddenly I'm missing. There's a bit of drama there, but eventually they found me. Obviously, I'm here now.
It might be a new story for you guys.
So that's what happened lah. Yeah, just to give a bit of context.
So you have some kind of it's not that saying that not that Chadi, but you have a wild sense inside you that you want to learn something new, get to see something new, and then you found a gigantic monster with a yellow, what do you call it?
Bright color.
Bright color, with some kind of
excavators.
I don't know what you call it, and you see, and then all of a sudden, you want to be an architect.
Yeah, it's sort of like exactly just like now. It's all the unseen hard work, all your drawing revision. At the end of the day, when the building is complete, you only see one version of that drawing. Same goes to whoever excavating the ground and building up the basement, the foundation. Eventually, people just going to see the lobby. Even though you have built 6-story basement underneath. Yeah, so
people just see what they see. It doesn't see what's behind that happened. Actually,
in a way. Yeah.
It's good. From there, you might start getting all of those, your intention and interest want to be an architect. So now here you are, be one of the emerging architect in Malaysia. I can say.
Yeah, I'm the chair of Emerging Architect Committee in PAM.
You're the chair.
The chair.
You're the chair.
The chairman.
The chairman. Yeah. So the chairman.
Yeah, we short form lah.
I'm sorry.
And
I
then
didn't get the chair. I thought he's the chair.
So and then starting next year, I will help the chairmanship of Acacia Committee on Young Architects, meaning 22 countries, Asian countries, their emerging and young architect will be under this umbrella.
Acacia is it?
Yeah, Acacia is the main mother organization. Underneath Acacia Committee of Young Architects, one of the committee is for young architects. I just won the election this year in Sri Lanka.
You won it?
Yeah. So next year I will start my chairmanship lah. So not only Malaysia, is also extended to the other 22 Asian countries. Bukan ASEAN, Asian, not ASEAN. Bukan.
Asian.
Yes.
We get the right person to be our guest today. Okay? For everyone, nope. You want to take him? No, it's my turn today. You are mine. So from there, they say you will be a chairman. What you, from your own perspective now, I just want to know, you're doing some, not that some, a lot of architecture business now, related or not related. That's what I have been knowing you. So you know that technology like been evolving every single day, keep updating. Even our Windows also updating every single day. Want to shut down and you want to update or not.
Yeah.
So how you see all the technology can influence within your business now?
Right. So obviously, in this particular day and age, the deliverables are heavily upon digital collaterals. Obviously, there are certain legal document, that are still needed in hard copy. For example, our building plan submission and all things related to legality. But the digital tools are as important mechanism, okay, and also procedure in order to produce those hard copies or even digital collaterals. So what I see, the trend today is really the adoption of digital tools quite early. It means that
so you never thought the digital comes to this earlier?
There's a conundrum to it. The staff is exposed to digital matters quite early in their teen years, and then when they come to work. But the fact that smartphones are too powerful, most of them, most houses skip to have a personal PC, personal computer.
Oh yeah, no wonder about that.
Yeah. So if you look at the previous trend, you will have this personal computer with an internet connection, maybe one unit in one household.
Yep.
But since everyone have a smartphone and access to internet independently, there's a trend of discarding that. People don't have even PC because they can edit words, they can send emails from phones and why not go to social media. That in turn give a little bit of challenge of people working in a desktop environment, because desktop environment is fairly layered. I mean, if you go to a phone, it's like setting and then maybe 2-3 layer. But if you go into a directory of a desktop environment, there's so many folders after another folder, system 32 and all these things. So there might be advantage in terms of as an internet native generation, they can do things, or they prefer things online, for example Canva over actual design software, or traditional or conventional design software per se. So, and the idea of installation is another new idea, because for them it's just a click away and then the app is there. There's no such thing like, oh, this drive is full, you know, cari directory lain, or scratch this for a certain software, you need to give some headroom.
Scratch this.
Again, because when they finish their,
I think there's a lot of time.
Because they finish when they finish with their phone, they buy a higher capacity phone. There's no such thing.
And they're still getting full, you know.
So this is the conundrum lah. I mean, you have a able and internet savvy generation, but at the same time, some of them are not used to work in a desktop environment. So.
I see. So now that you're saying, like nowadays housing or residential projects, you will thinking like we think like each house supposedly have one desktop, but now they don't need it. Because they already have the powerful phones,
smartphone,
or maybe tablet.
Tablet,
So except for gamers, right?
Betul lah. And then some of them when they go to university, they will migrate to laptop lah, if they have to. But it could be in the future where people just abandon desktop because of laptop are also getting, you know, high end GPU, high end GPUs.
Even can do what desktop can do now.
Rendering and why not? I think can go up to 4080, I believe. Kalau laptop,
even now, one of the principals brand now, what we bring in, they're starting to, you know, putting some AI things inside the laptop.
Okay.
So now your laptop is quite more powerful than before.
Previously,
It's good words that you say. Every single person is starting to migrate into the digital era now. So by having some big, huge of PCs, now they're having some kind of in your pocket, right? On the go PCs, like a very small one. I cannot show my phone. I don't know where I put, right? So you can do the work everywhere.
Correct.
So for this terms of digital things, So, do you face any challenges for yourself? For yourself, like for how you implement within your own this business?
I think the hardest, adoption of technology is really the framework, how to utilize the technology. So, for example, if you want to talk about the industry right now, for example, BIM workflow or BIM framework, for example, or even modeling, as in general, there's no actual protocol that everybody use. Maybe to other people, to a certain practice, this is how they're gonna do it. They're gonna do one in SketchUp and then another one in BIM, in BIM software, whatever they choose. Some maybe go to just like what we had last week, a new software called Snapshot, and then they go to BIM. So there's no actual workflow. It means that when people come on board to a new organization, they have to learn the way that the organization run. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that when you want to have a seamless ecosystem of human resources among the consultancy practices, it's quite difficult. So even though, for example, we run most of our things through not saying anything lah, Google subscription service lah. So the storage is there, the Word document editing software is there, and then basically you have teleconferencing built in together. So you can see that that could be different from other practice. They do it differently. The word processing software different. The teleconference different. It could be that as well. So this is some of the challenge are really to bring certain stability in order for us to understand. For example, if you go to a factory that produce glove, for example, the quality might be different from factory A to factory B, or even producing cars, factory A, factory B. But at least if the guy is the job title is installing the tire, it will be the same in plant A, plant B, workshop A, workshop B. Even though the quality, the pricing, maybe need tukar kereta Ferrari, sana kereta kancil, it's okay, the pricing might be different, but at least the work tu is the same. So the workforce tu a bit more mobile. Right now is too bespoke lah. There's nothing wrong. Maybe architects are intellectual and very creative people. So we have our own way. We want to mold everyone to work within our preference. So that might be my biggest challenge lah. Human resource.
So talking about this, okay, a little bit of disclaimer. Okay, when we know that we both are architects, we will find a little bit of weird language from here. Okay, you might not understand, you may understand, I don't know, it's your understanding, but for us, what we talk about, yes, I do understand the words that he said.
Comment below.
Right, just give a short of comment. What was the word that you found as the something of words that you find very weird to understand about? I will answer that for you. So, Mr. Kawa, okay, this digital era, green sustainable, is it like give me some connection with that?
Right. So the idea was really to get the most output from people, because the longer the office runs, if the output is not so good, it's not sustainable as well in terms of financial. But at the same time, we must understand is that nothing is actually free. Even though you don't print paper, some people say that we are going paperless. Yes, of course, because now we are in Cyberjaya. We are witnessing the advent of where is your digital footprint is. So you said you store this on cloud as if like the cloud is existential place, macam syurga kan. Actually cloud is most likely in Cyberjaya, one of data center here.
Yes.
So basically data centers produce a lot of heat because of the processing. The heat needs to be taken out. It also occupies space and people working on these data centers. So nothing is actually free, nothing is actually carbon free. So we have to be quite holistic in our meaning of what sustainable is. I think in terms of built environment, I like to perceive it in a slightly different way. Of course, green building, I have no qualms with green building. And of course, people should support GBI. Green Building Index is one of the PAM's subsidiary company. But beyond that, we must understand green is only able to be achieved it is overused. For example, a community hall. Okay, let's say in a small town, or okay lah, not small lah. Let's say town A versus town B. Town A only use the hall weekend only, 2 days out of 7, and then town B is being used every day. Okay? Now the carbon per day atau carbon per usage, carbon per pax accommodate is actually more in A because it's rarely used.
Yes, rarely used.
Walaupun dia green building platinum pun, if it's rarely used, how do we justify the amount of carbon that has been used or been consumed to build that building compared to maybe not platinum lah, let's say certified green building, just maybe the bare minimum, but it's been used every day, so it's heavily utilized. So we can see you can produce a very high-tech building but nobody can rent because it's too expensive or too difficult to operate, or you can design slightly basic, still green building but utilized heavily.
I understand. I totally agree with that. But let's say during my study before, I forgot the name of the building. The Crystal Building.
The Suruhanjaya Tenaga.
Yes. The highest point of GBI. Everyday use. Is that?
Yeah. So, which is good. Yeah.
Which is good everyday use. But how you can say that also per carbon be produced because you be using the building every day.
Yeah. So in terms of that particular building, okay, the other onset that we need to look on is the building must be designed conceptually, philosophically as a green building. That's why it's been designed sort of like a diamond, which have a smaller foot base, where they can allow for some what they call it green area at the bottom, and of course self shading the building. So the green building that we are against are something that is been designed as if like a normal building and been slapped on solar panel, slapped on low E glass, slapped on this technology sensor, whatnot, slap. But philosophically, conceptually, it's not designed to be sustainable. It's just a normal building. Then later, for rating purposes, they look at the checklist, slap. Put this technology. Just the specification matters lah. So that's not apa orang kata the spirit of the law lah per se. The spirit is you should be designed conceptually to be a green building, like the example that you given just now.
So it's like we're doing an essay, just put more, just fulfill the marks lah.
In a way lah,
I see. But what you can say, just for yourself, personal opinion, not related to any somewhere outside there, people outside there. Okay, just between two of us, alright. So based on your opinion, it doesn't need to work that way, right?
I think the what they call it, intention must come early on. If the intention come early on, I'm sure the architect will accommodate. Usually when they are already quite advanced, far down the line, then suddenly they want to get this building rated. That's where the challenge is.
I see.
And they have no options other than slapping all those technology
just chip in, just only for the sake of
in a way, it's like designing a laptop lah. I mean, you have a laptop, a chassis, okay, and then you slap in GPU, slap in the CPU, slap in large SSD, even though it's not designed for it, then heat up. The chassis cannot handle. So this is some of the things. But if it's designed early on, I think all architects can accommodate those features.
So basically, it can be big, so it can be well ventilated. Like a PC. Very well designed. And then when you compact it, and you get the diamond building.
Which is well run, I believe.
I see. So talking again on this capabilities of green architecture. So do you see the digital this era, right? For the paperless thing and stuff, or for the BIM itself, building information modeling, does it can like sumbang apa sini? Contribute to the green architecture,
right? So what this digital tool help or do is actually managing expectation. So right now there's a lot of visualization tools, either the modeling software itself or you brought it forward or bring it into visualization software. All this, of course, can visualize first materiality, and then second the ambience, and third, of course, performance lah. Like I mentioned, maybe you want to see where the heat gain is, or maybe how the wind flow through the building. So all this needs to be visualized to manage expectation of the building owner, and of course for the architects to make informed decisions. If they have these tools, they're able to craft the building better or slightly more refined. Of course, we have all those true and tested, what do you call it? How do I say it? Sort of like things that we adhere to, for example, passive building, venturi, and of course cross ventilation. But with this tool, we're able to quantify it, like the wind speed, and maybe even what do you call it, heat gain, how the temperature gain. So this will only improve architects' decision by having additional information. But what I see is truly the opposite. To be honest, of course, with that tool, we must be better architects, design better buildings. But designing green building should not be our end goal. That is supposed to be our default mode. Building something better. Architects should really put themselves in a point where they can craft experience. So that these tools only help you so that you can ensure my building is good, my building is sustainable. Okay, you get that pass, and then you can focus your attention to crafting real experiential spaces. So that's where they should shine. I feel like some people say that architecture now is all about numbers. The numbers of GFA, the numbers of what do you call it? How much energy being produced in situ. I felt that there's a borderlining building audit lah. So architects, yes, you need to be aware of such thing, but at the same time, the added value where the architect can actually shine, or why this profession is deemed as valuable, is because we can craft that, the intangible, the spaces that create experience and memories.
The more the GFAs, the more the cost.
More NFA, more things to sell. So
you need to consider everything.
Of course.
In terms of designing. Not even the thing that normal people can see, because what I always hold myself, architects always see different things. What normal people are like, the mainstream people doesn't see what we see actually. Right? For example, as you said, like a green architecture. Yes, they're supposedly implement everything, not supposedly to be mentioned within their concept, because everyone should know. Okay, every single thing should be green. And then based on your concept, it depends on you, up to you, because different people are giving out the different concepts in terms of design. Right, so for this one also, I just want to know for your idea right, how it affects the like a legal punya local authority or something that depends on the stuff that we talked about, mostly on digital things.
So this is the tricky part. This is not an answer per se, but this is sort of like a question mark rather, like for us to discuss and can be expanded further. Okay, now if you look at all the legal documents that includes title, even strata title is drawn in 2D, even though it's supposed to capture the volume of an apartment or volume in 3D shape, but it's still 2D. And of course, our building plan are also in 2D. And right now, the collaterals are fairly manageable, meaning if you have slight deviation, for example, in your 2D plan, it still can look the same. For example, in actual 3D, you might have sort of like a slightly lower ceiling to accommodate the piping above. In plan, you wouldn't see that. So in legality, let's say in the SMP document, it still look the same. But what if with the advent of BIM, and eventually they want to use BIM model as a submission model, as a submission document or file, and then eventually if that spillover goes to SMP, goes to any other document, for example in HDA, Housing Development Act, or Strata Title Act, that will be architects have to be almost perfect
Yes.
because there's
We have to be known as
opportunity.
a perfectionist. Everything that needs to be done.
But
must be perfect.
but because the document is 3D, the legal what they call reference is going to be the 3D environment. Slight deviation in at site because of miscoordination. For example, you can see some beam latch is not flush with the brick wall and whatnot, stuff like that. That might happen on site because you have to understand buildings are handcrafted.
Yeah.
Even though you look like buildings are super straight or whatnot, they are handmade. Handmade things will have human factor in it.
Defects.
Okay, 1 or 2 what do you call it?
Discrepancy or something.
Discrepancy is actually a very threshold, a very high threshold to achieve. So what I'm trying to say is the model needs to be almost like you might be familiar, digital twin lah.
I see.
Kena betul-betul perfect, betul-betul sama. If not, anything could be, I don't know. There's no precedent yet of
It's like a 1-to-1 scale.
anyone suing for what they had in the model, not the same as in the unit. But this is some of the things that might come in, I don't know, 15, 20 years when projects are actually submitting BIM model as the submission legal document. It could be a possibility.
Yes. As I said, this is one of good things when all the authorities outside, all the legal stuff already start to implement all of this digital.
A good thing for them. I'm not so sure about architects. I mean, for example, in an apartment there are 700 units. We're gonna be so sweaty thinking every night if there is even one unit got a faulty or discrepancy against the model. And you have to understand, in the organization, usually the one that models is slightly junior, not the actual principal. So the possibility of inexperience or mistake, there's a possibility there. Not saying that the senior architect does not check, but of course with the what they call it, legality bound to it, I think in the future there might be a lot more resources will be put onto to make sure the model is as per the one that they build.
As for the design and need to be constructed the same thing.
So this has not happened yet, but it could be. It could be.
Could be. Like you're telling that. People always say that. For example, building information modeling. People always say that this thing is the most perfect one. But when we talk about it, me myself, I always say, not that really perfect one. But everything it will helps you actually.
Yep.
And for BIM itself, actually it will helps you, not that getting you the perfect one.
Correct.
Like you do everything as you said, handcrafted. Yes.
Correct.
I never seen throughout my life handcrafted is perfect as you do the machine crafted. Right? Rather than we do the what is the version now, the modular
IBS.
This one, then we can consider some kind of perfect. When we do the handcrafted, okay. saying other stuff that is much more better lah. So for your side lah, Mr. Kawan, throughout your journey experience, you involved with urban. Okay. So based on this digital and the new software stuff and the new tools that now ongoing, you might know, or I think you know. How can you say that it helps you on your urban ideas and design and planning?
Right. So right now, our urban environment are closely knit than ever before. So right now, if you look at the internet or Internet of Things infrastructure in urban environment, they are almost what they call it, another interlace or another interface of the city. So you can see the curb, sidewalk, what they call it, street furniture and whatnot. That's the physical interface you're dealing with, trees, foliage, landscape, stuff like that. But on top of that, there's another layer, a digital layer. Of course, when you want to park your cars, now you have to key in your smart meter in your app. And then basically when you go into, for example, drive-through, you need to order online. So there is that another layer of digital interface. So in our case studies, of course, what we want to do is to remove the redundancy of the physical things onto digital, and then try to relate digital back to physical. For example, we no longer need a phone booth. That is completely been taken off the physical realm onto the digital interface. Your contact number, tak ada siapa simpan contact book anymore and all this. So this is some of the things that have gone digital. Of course, when you do that, there are some gap between digital and physical, the reality. So that's why we need to bring back some of the things that we thought that is good, is try to bring some of these digital elements onto the physical. For example, AR mural, that could be another layer. And then basically try to reconnect with some of the digital apparatus in a car, for example. In a car, you can see that they can detect signage, they can detect another car. So in an urban and street environment, we need to rethink our road design to accommodate what kind of vehicles that are going to run through that road in the future. So it means design, urban planning or placemaking must become the bridge between these two realms. It's not exclusive as a UI UX designer and then basically a town planner. It's a I would say in between role that merge the reality of actual people. Because if you are UI UX designer, of course you are designing within that particular pixel, berapa pixel of your screen or tablet, why not, the format. But you have unlikely you have the relationship of that interface to the city, the actual interface. For example, parking, that could be reflected. I mean, of course, your Grab icon kereta sampai, real pun sampai. So that's the bridge. So I think if you look at all the new malls, now they have this dedicated Grab launch ataupun e-hailing lounge, or parking for p-hailing. That's not something that we come out due to the fact that we need it in the physical life, but it's coming from the digital interface coming back to physical. So this is some of the things that we taken into account. And of course, when you're designing in such a large scale, building could take 3 to 6 years, but master plans, 10 to 20 years easily. So we need to go very further away from what we had now. We assume now electrical charging or ownership, I think 2 or 3%. Actually, in one of our proposal, this is like 3 or 4 years back, we already put charging base for EV as a mandatory requirement, at least 5% of the total car park bay and whatnot. So this is back in 2020. So even back then pun kita dah project lah. So of course now we have our local manufacturers also producing EV. Previously it was all imported. You can see the uptick of EV adoption is very high right now.
In Malaysia,
especially in Cyberjaya, almost everyone is driving Tesla because Tesla is here. So during lunch they can park there and then have coffee there and charge for free.
Oh, charge for free?
Kalau kat Tesla, Tesla HQ kat sini. Cyber.
Tesla owner, you park in the Tesla, charge for free. Kat
sini, kat Cyber. Only in Cyber.
Okay,
unless they open another few branch lah.
Okay, that shocks me, right? I might get a Tesla after this. So you talk about urban design, I mean on the urban development and planning. I mean, quite one of the points that you said, AR mural. Right? So like people goes there, and then AR mural by phones or maybe by VR. We don't know about it, but it's kind of safe. Depends on the designer they want to use to the mural wall or something lah. Features one, it can be part of the feature wall inside or outside throughout the building. Okay, so for this one, it's quite evolving every single day for the digitals, right? It's like every single day. So do you see this? How can I say? The BIM itself, right? You already know about it. So how you can say about AI actually?
Right. So
AI and automation. Okay. So if we talk about this, it might be go wild.
I think just to add on to the previous point, in Cyberjaya, promoting the city a bit, there's one stretch of road here that is mandated as the self-driving autonomous vehicle testing road. So not ART, a car that is self-driving.
Oh, inside the city.
Inside Berjaya, that there is a mandated road that you can actually turn that feature on. If you do that in other parts of Malaysia, it's considered illegal.
Oh, okay.
So this is where the testing ground is, and of course, drone delivery technology or startup are also here. So this is some of the things that come into the picture in the few years. Okay, now with regards to AI, obviously AI are adopted in many array. Okay, the one that we are talking about or become popular is because they are starting to adopt AI to do generative work, either generative text or generative image. I think that's where people can actually relate, because previously there are always AI going around at the back. Everything that is computer processes are artificial. If they can processes, intellectually, it could be considered as AI. I mean, now everyone is rebranding their feature as AI, but it was already there. For example, Photoshop content aware. Content aware is already there. It's just that now you can prompt in what actually you want. So previously they just brush it off with a background photo. Why not? Now you can specify. So there are certain intellectual there, but now with advent of better graphic cards that process all this, they can have a bit more sophisticated command prompt. Now, with regards to the AI adoption in architecture, I think there is a good case for it. Obviously, the most problematic is the bounds of control. AI in this instance, as of now, we are speaking in April 2025, has slightly more nuances in order for you to control the output. For example, if you are using Stable Diffusion, I think you need to have another software, something frame, to really get the actual model to be regenerated as different options. But if you use that in a typical Mid-Journey, you just trash out a prompt, you will not get the same project generated. So this, I would say, at this moment of discussion, in my own practice, I value text-based AI more. I value that more.
Text-based
rather than the visual.
So it's like a ChatGPT one.
Yes, ChatGPT ke DeepSeek ke, because the idea was really for you to produce content. So the idea of architects are dealing with purely images is actually it's a good PR, good public outlook in the public. Architects are always visualizing and whatnot, but actually most of our work are also text heavy, text based as well. So in my particular, for example, own personal account, I have few characters. I have one as a craft festival assistant. So anything that in relation to craft, I would explain and update him so he knows. So one day I asked him, write down the summary of all events can come out. Because I've been updating him for, let's say at this moment of time, 3 months lah. But at the end of the term, it will be 1 year. And then I ask a summary or synopsis. He can go back to the memories and then fish out all the information needed. I have another character that worked on my as a book editor per se. I'm writing a book, so everything that I want to write, I will update him, and then basically the idea was really to capture the essence of the book as an observatory to the world. So you can train characters, and I think that's a bit more valuable. And with regards to AI tool or tools that have been produced, none of them are produced locally. Or like you mentioned, automation. Maybe there is a plug-in on top of BIM software, Revit, ArchiCAD, or Vectorworks, why not? But they are not produced locally. With that being said, their standards, meaning their title block, the way that they write scale, the way they write the specification, are not, even in Revit families, you may nampak, it's not Malaysian. So the challenge is really for someone to have a sort of a patch, a local patch to contextualize. If you have a Revit package with a Malaysian patch, for example, title block for all local authority. Local authority, every local authority different.
Betul, yes, correct.
Why we waste time? Why the local authority cannot upload their what they call it, title block template as a Revit format or something like that? So if somebody can do a Malaysian patch, then it could be truly valuable to automate. Because sekarang, yes, memang betul the automation, but you still have to go find out how the title block look like.
It's like we need to discover what's your actually requirement.
Automate to software, but the human factor is influencing the actual work tu. It's not automated. Itu yang kita kena fix.
It's like supposedly that these things needs to be easy, but when they come up with a different different requirement based on that, for example, like submission and so on, different. It's quite weird.
That's the thing lah. I think there is a gap there. If there is IT EAC architecture engineering construction punya IT solution company that can fill that gap, do a patch or develop a plugin to contextualize, I think that's where the real value is.
Yes, I understood on that. So on your talk about it about this automation and AI. So what I can say also, young people or young architects, right? Are they living with it or growing up with it?
Right. So right now I see two things. I would say the one that are benefiting the most is people in my age range, because we have the experience of doing it manually. Hence we are able to give direction or prompt, or we know things slightly more innate to inform the AI what we actually want. Okay, I have the fear that people at the in the younger years of their architectural practice and skipping through the ropes and try to prompt an AI by not knowing what are they trying to control. For example, if you are living in the V-Ray, sorry lah mention banyak software, in a V-Ray environment, so you kind of know like what normal map do, what BUM do, and then basically what is reflectiveness, what if refraction. So you know like, okay, if I want to look like a jade crystal like lookalike, maybe not too reflective, matte sikit.
Betul.
And then maybe translucency tu jangan habis penuh nanti jadi bola warna putih. So you have that innate what they call it knowledge. The problem is if you just hit and pray or tembak and pray and tolonglah jadi how I wish it to look like. There might be a challenge lah, because you don't even know how to operate benda ni. So you tak tahu you should have that shininess, how to control to make. Because there's a.
It's like we give a same prompt, but they do come up with different options. But how can we justify that our prompt will get what we want actually?
That's a challenge lah. I think what some AI has done, they generate but for now it's for characters, 3D characters. So once they have information on the 3D environment XYZ, then generating another views is not actually a challenge lah after this.
I totally agree with that, because normally now I can see also I always try to do the prompting and then come out with the things that I want, but when I change the angle, the same prompt come in, but different things. It's not stays there.
I think it's all boiled down to how much is the processing what they call it unit per RM or per USD. Because 3D model to do the mesh and then texture on top of it gonna require a lot more processing capabilities. So right now it appears that it is more feasible to do text and flat images for now. But as we get better hardware, better data centers and more competitive processing unit per USD per kilowatt and whatnot, we are getting close to that. It's not impossible lah. I don't think it's impossible.
Memang not impossible lah. We always not rely 100% fully on the prompting and AI, but actually they are coming. They are coming on us. Because our youngsters also kind of living and growing up with them, blending it together. Even my brother also start studying using the ChatGPT. I can say to him that how can you rely the facts inside the AI stuff and within the books? It's kind of may different and may not, and may correct one or may is the wrong one. It doesn't need to rely on that.
They also have a disclaimer. It's not entirely accurate or true, so you need to check. They ask you to check.
That's the thing. Unless 1 plus 1 equals 2.
Yeah.
And then, if you ever see about that, how can AI say that 1 plus 1 equals 3? There is nothing, nothing need to be, fact finding throughout that numbers, 1 plus 1 equals 3. And that's why I come up 1 plus 1 equals 2. So, quite AI, certain part we can rely on.
Yeah.
Certain part we just need to double check it.
Yeah, correct.
Right? Alright, good to know about the young architects. Okay, so talking about this, I just want to push forward a little bit regarding your own personal opinion, Mr. Kawa. How can you encourage all of those young architects outside there to maybe to become someone like you?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I'm not so sure if I'm the
maybe more successful than you. I don't know.
Idealistic look how an architect should be. But I think the most important thing is for us to give as much as we want to receive. I think in a small way, there's a lot of course, this is a personal pursuit. Sometimes it could be very self-absorbed and selfish endeavor. But you have to understand the world works both ways. More you give to the community or even to the society, in this particular case, Pertubuhan Arkitek Malaysia, with the hope that you get back more out of that. So if you believe in doing good deeds in order to get good things in life, I think that value could work. That applies to things that come to your door. Sometimes you get an opportunity to be a volunteer for an event or organize an event on the university's behalf, to call in good speakers, practitioners to your school, for example. You should be upfront and take the opportunity. Sometimes people have opportunity knocking on their doors, but they just leave their doors closed. They are not opening up to the possibility of things that they don't know or things that they're not familiar with, and just leave it there. Even though opportunity for design competition, opportunity for architecture, student jamboree, installation or exhibition in Wan Utama in Pasui, for example. There's a lot of opportunities that happen that we try to involve all a membership class in PAM, from students, corporate, graduates, associate, all class of membership. You have to take the opportunity and be an active member in participating that, in order to build your character. Think it as an opportunity to build your soft skill per se. Your ability to persuade people, your ability to put forth a very good and convincing argument, your ability to manage other people, your ability to organize an event per se. So that will in turn translated into the things that you do, for example, i.e. your work lah. So I hope people take up a little bit, maybe 10% of their time to actually do a little bit of good to the betterment of everyone else. So if everyone do a little bit, the whole ecosystem of architectural practice will be better, way better than what we have now.
I see. So telling that all the good deeds we must, as you said, hoping that the good things come back to you.
Yeah, correct.
So doesn't even need to how can I say berkira?
Yeah, because success is fairly relative. So, but the value of doing good deeds, I would say universal, regardless of what is your theological upbringing or what you believe in. Yeah,
you heard that? Always good for the good deeds. Always positive. Always positive about this. So, Mr. Kawa, as long as we already talk about a few minutes, maybe 20, 30, I don't know. Just give a shot how many minutes that we already talk about. For this, throughout this talk with you, okay, how do you find that, all the young people outside there, okay, should they embrace the technology, okay, in order to adapt with the nowadays technology, in order to become or be involved with the industry?
I think definitely the younger generation has to adopt the new technologies, but I also see the challenges by having too many options. Previously, they were 3D Max or V-Ray. So you kind of have to master it anyway. Even though the uptake of the learning curve is very high, but you try to work on it. But now, due to the easiness of the new software, which is good, people are jumping one another, mastering none. So today I use D5 as a rendering tool, then Lumion, then Enscape, then a little bit of anything else, Corona and whatnot. But the thing is, they can producing whatever you've been producing, or they can producing something that you see on a billboard. All tools can I would say to a certain extent can achieve that. It's actually the human element. Of course, you are thinking that if I use this software, I could do better. If I use that software, I can do faster. It's either better, faster, more realistic, use less computer hardware, why not? So there's all the consideration. But at the end of the day, you must have the interest to actually develop with the software. Obviously, in the earlier years, software update come 3 months, 4 months, every quarter or every year even. But now they can do these mini updates and why not? Sometimes the reactivity is not there. The next update, reflectivity is in. And then the next update, you can control the path of the camera, whatever. So if you want to be good at something, yes, of course, you need to, spend a bit more time. And then basically, if you have that particular foundation, or for example, in this case, ArcVic or CAD or BIM tools, they work more or less similar language. So rather than, keep on jumping but mastering none, if you master one, actually it's easy to master the next one. So this is what I would say. Adopt them, but please don't have this temporal or short-sighted view of this particular software. Try to really understand and master them.
Betul, all of them speak the same language. Like us, do we need to leave our traditional architect skills behind, like sketches? We don't need to leave it, right?
I think right now the key is option. Last time there's no option. Must do sketch. Must do a physical sketch on paper. Now you have the option to actually do it on screen, or even prompt the sketch, sketch style.
Prompt the sketch.
Whatever you want to call it lah. So you're sketching through words. So this is again the fallacy of having too many choices. Sometimes with too many choices, people, for example, right now, because there's so many things that we can do to visualize something. We can model, we can render, we can real time render, why not? People don't actually take the time to master sketching anymore or hand-drawn drawing. So what I'm trying to say is, why we want a faster and better productivity is also there's value in mastering in some or a few of those basic skills.
So how can we be an architect if we cannot do even like simple sketches to make understand?
So I think the most important thing is to communicate effectively. Communication. This actually, as much as people want to talk about space materiality, architecture, shape, facade, and whatnot, it boils down to communication. Everything that an architect do is nothing other than communication. We do drawing because we want to communicate. We want to make sure that everything is captured in BQ. So we want to communicate this object exists in this project. This object exists in this quantity in this project. This object exists in this quantity and this quality in this project. That's the level of communication that you need to really go down to the finest detail.
It's a very detailed one.
And when we cannot do a decision at that time, to architect's approval, so that we are buying more time because there's so many things to communicate, and in the project there's maybe thousands or millions of elements coming together, elements from different part, paint, subframe, and all this masonry. So there's a lot of things for an architect to decide. So communication tools are paramount. Because that's what architects do. They have something in their brain. Now they have to communicate it out to 10 or 200 people to understand how to
what they do actually
recraft or rebuild.
And then lastly, based on the drawing they made, the specs as to to manufacture detail.
If they don't want to think lah, of course there are some proprietary system kan. For example, insulation.
To man of detail, to engineers detail. How can lastly to work that way?
Delegation lah, I would say, because there's so many things to communicate. Kita pun tak sempat nak communicate. Of course, some are specialist work like facade or sometimes AV system. In your case, engineers and why not? Of course, but eventually they need to come together in architect's drawing. So communication lah.
Yeah, like a door lah kan. 900 times by 2,100 mm high, complete with door closer to manufacture details lah sekali.
Lock set lagi.
With the lock set,
color,
blah blah blah,
color
color
lagi.
with chrome paint. Last sekali to nak tak nak, we need to see on the manufacture details also.
If there is a lot more parameter to it, then we have to put more. For example, fire rating. Lepas tu automatic door closer, self door closer. So actually banyak benda lah. Communication lah. Have to communicate effectively.
So all of the construction players must have architectural knowledge to understand the specs, to give it out, to voice
recommend
out
the best.
Recommend the best, to voice out all of those specs what they need actually from the clients, right? As for example, this is a disclaimer. Example, I take a WC with the height of blah 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 with how can I say, the waterproof finish, right? Or equivalent. Equivalent. So most of it, we just find almost the same spec.
What is available in the market? It depends. It depends on the pedigree of the project. Obviously, if it's very personal or very high end, for example, high end VVIP lounge in Kota Baru Airport, for example, it must be specified. Okay, but certain building, maybe building that is not so sensitive of what model actually is, so that you can have a little bit more leeway. So it depends on the procurement as well. So some want to have the most economically or cost-effective solution, regardless of whatever shape the WC is. But some must be as per what the architect need, because of the threshold, the space that they're given, the hole, the position of the WC. So it depends on what kind of building lah.
And also depends also on the one who use it.
Correct.
Different maybe for the standard toilet, no big problem. Biasa je lah.
Maybe it's not their personal home kan.
That's the thing. So we've been talking a while now, Mr. Kawa. So is there any one or two words at last you can say to all of those our viewers inside there regarding what you do and what we talk about just now?
Okay, so in short, definitely there's a lot of work to do. With that being said, it means that we need more people to join in the fraternity, and of course the best platform to do so is in Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia, in PAM. What we need is to make sure that all the challenges that we had today, either design or legal challenges, are addressed. I just want to give you a visualization. What is the profession look like? Imagine you have a country and it is bordering, to lack of a better word, a hostile environment lah, bordering a hostile nation around us. And we have this equivalent of Great Wall of China per se. We have a protection around it because it is a regulated profession. Now, along that period of establishment of this particular city, let's say we call it the architects ecosystem per se, there will be a lot of people challenging us in terms of maybe they want to offer lower fee, maybe they want to offer us the same fee but more scope, for example, including all this green certification, BIM, that used to be a separate or addition to the basic services, or even to take up certain things that architect previously did. For example, planning approval now has to be done by other profession, so the scope of work, and then a lot of other things. For example, submission to Bomber. There's a lot of fronts need to be taken care of. Right now, what happened in the profession is really this. I'm not so sure it's politically correct to say this or not, but we don't have enough guards. We don't have enough people manning the wall. Then the wall is, being hammered every day, either by your client, the authority, challenging what is what is supposedly traditionally, conventionally ours, our scope, our what do you call it, our portion of the fee. But now is challenged. But by not having manning the wall per se, in some crucial or vital meetings sometimes, that we don't have a representative from the institute due to the fact that we don't have enough volunteers, people that spend time for the institute. The impact will be, 1 meeting, 2 meeting, maybe you don't felt it, but after a collection of years, let's say after 10 years, I would dare argue that you wouldn't say that we are in a better position than 10 years ago. The reason is because we don't have enough to man the wall, to make sure all the threats or possible challenges, not threats, possible challenges are being taken care on all fronts. So I would say try to be open-minded. The things that you might be concerned with is a portion of what PAM does. It is, some visible, like Kuala Lumpur Architecture Festival, Archidex in KLCC. Some are that festivities, but I can assure you there's a lot more work that might be deemed as administrative or legalistic that is not visible on the public realm. But we need every man and woman to actually man the wall. Yeah, that's my final, cry lah.
Needing more volunteers for PAMs.
For yourself.
For yourself.
For the betterment of the ecosystem as a whole.
I see. So everything is dependent on ourselves for you man up the wall, right?
Correct. To protect your small town. Before it's been rampaged by everything else. I mean, AI is definitely a double-edged sword, where layman, people who don't have architectural training can utilize that as well. So this is some of the things that is a bit murky. It's not a hard thread that you can see. So you can imagine this macam the town kena magic spell lah. AI ni macam magic spell. It's not like an army come and knocking on your wall, but it's a magic spell. It can lompat your wall, masuk dalam, and then some of the people dalam town tu pun mungkin pakai juga magic tu, kan, main sihir tu juga. But you tak sure, is it in the next 10 years? Maybe we can bagi tahu lah. We can get back and tell ourselves that actually,
like you said, the double-edged sword. It can attack others, can also attack you.
Yeah. So be smart lah about it. Yeah.
Right. So thank you everyone. So really, it's quite a while we talk to I can call you the AR IDR Kawarizmi over here. Okay, our council member of Persatuan Arkitek Malaysia. Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kawarizmi, for accepting BIMAGE Consulting, and then you will be part of the BIMAGE Cafe also. Right. So right. Stay tuned for the next episode. Okay, so take a guess on the comment below who will be on our next guest. Right. Thank you so much. See you on the next episode.